Rob Tell on the track. Hop in the whip and I hit these switches. See that chrome suspension. Look at the car, you know who did it. I don't have to mention. They know it's Alex from Hoppos. Custom work come from Hoppos. I'm Rob Tell of 504. For anybody that gotta know, Alex stay with fresh content and he keep it coming like a slideshow. Never cut corners far as I know, but he cut metal with his eyes closed. Control arms, reinforced frames, still killing the game. You see the gun smoke from Impalas with the
YouTube, good morning. How are you? Alex here from Hoppos. Nick from Hoppos. So we are back. You guys saw the last video. We were finalizing these, and well, they're pretty much done. Just working on the final touches, just little anchors, which is really no big deal. But we have 1 day and a half, a day and a half to finish this truck. This truck needs to make it out to the Dockweiler show, the 10th annual Dockweiler show. You can't forget the 10th, that's what makes it important. Originally, we didn't really have a deadline on this, and the customer is requesting for it to be done by then. But he's like, if it doesn't make it, it's cool, don't worry about it. But I want the truck to make it as well. So we are gonna tear into it today. We had already done all the dump repairs, all the wiring repairs, all the hose repairs, rewired the batteries, put new batteries in. So all that was already done. Now we gotta actually fix the back end. As you can see, Vic's taking off the wheels right now. Just taking off the wheels because we gotta get access to the actual cylinders in there. The cylinders is what we're gonna be cutting out. The mounts, we're cutting all that out. We're gonna make it 100% right. Plus, the coils broke on him, so we're gonna actually put some different coils in here. As you can see, these little guys ain't gonna do anything here. Not only that, this mount is actually bending, and this is actually bent and hitting the body itself of the bed. So we're gonna get all that straightened out, get this spaced out because there's a lot more spacing towards the wheel. So we're gonna get that pushed out this way. We're also gonna beef this sucker up a little bit to make it a lot sturdier. Since we got the clearance up here, we're gonna drop the size of the cylinder down so he doesn't hit up there, but also still have more clearance and more coil and stronger. So replace the hose and tighten all the fittings and check everything. Yeah, you know, just the basic stuff on a Thursday. And this truck has to be out of here by Friday. Yeah. I love these deadlines. I don't. It's not even that the customer put these deadlines on us. He said if it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it. But I want him to go out there and have fun with the truck and make it out there. I want him to be able to get his photo shoot that he's supposed to get done this weekend. Also, I need it out of the shop because we got too much stuff going on here to where I don't want to get close to this thing. On the other note, we had some crazy thunderstorms, lightning storms. Oh, when I say crazy, like California, like 2 strikes of lightning, that's crazy because we don't really get that a lot out here. Also, it is overcast, gloomy, and sprinkling, which I don't mind the cold. Not where it's like freezing cold, but with a little bit cold, it's good because then it's not as hot when you work. So Makita just sent us a good little care package here. They sent us over the new X-Lock conversions. When I say conversion, we actually got a whole new grinding system that we're going to start here at the shop. It's going to use the X-Lock technology on it. That way it's a quick interchange in and out. I could change from here to wire wheel in like literally 5 seconds, if not less. So they sent us over some care packages. Again, thank you Makita for always taking care of us. Literally, if I walk to the shop right now, check this out, look it. Boom, Makita case that should be put away. Boom, Makita. Let me keep going, guys. Makita. There's more. Makita. So thank you guys. Makita, thank you guys. We use all the tools here on a daily basis. We've been using it for years. Don't mind. We're not gonna show that green color on this channel. Yes, I have a Ryobi. Don't laugh, guys, all right? Don't laugh. That's like buying tools for the swap meet, I know, but I got a Ryobi, but don't get me wrong. I can't bash it that bad because it literally built all these, and it's built everything at my house. All the stuff that my wife's added, so I cannot complain. For the money I paid for it, if it goes out on me, I will be very happy to throw it away because I got my money's worth on it. Maybe one day I'll step up into a Makita one, but I don't do much woodworking around here or at home, so it just wasn't really worth it for me. But anyways, we gotta get back to this truck. It's all jacked up, ready to go. Let's do this. So on this side we got the mounts cut off. Vic's taking out the other one over there right now. You can see this weld was what they had welded here, but this thing wasn't sitting perfectly straight. It's because whoever put that piece on never took off the piece that they took off before that. So now instead of taking off one set of welds, we're taking off actually a set of welds plus someone put in a piece of channel here that they welded. So all this has to come smooth. We have to bring this back to square and flat. That way whatever we build sits on there flush and you get solid weld on it. You don't have to worry about any type of issues with it flexing. Before it was rocking because they put it right over this and they couldn't get a good weld on it just because they didn't want to spend the time to take this off. So I know it's gonna be a little hard to hear me right now because he's still grinding over there, but we got this side all cleaned up. We removed the second mount on the inside that was originally there, then the mount that they added after the fact. It's all smoothed out now. So now we have a good clean canvas to work off of. We also got this section all cleaned up. He's working on his side right now. Once we get that, we're gonna start getting the measurements from here to here, figure out our coil height. Customer also requested he didn't want the tires to hit the fender because it was hitting the fender, it was chopping up the tire. So we're gonna eliminate that for him so it sits a little bit higher. All right guys, so what we're working with here right now is I actually put the rear end at right where the tire needs to be at. We already put the tire on here, test fit it, make sure the tire was not going to hit the upper trim up here on the wheel well. So with that being said, and this in position here, I really wish the rear end wasn't chrome and the leaf springs weren't chrome, because then I could weld off of this and drop this cylinder down all the way down here, and I could fit a 10-inch cylinder with a full stack of coil, because this is the coil he had before. So I was trying to get this whole thing in there, which if the rear end wasn't chrome I could do it, but unfortunately with it chrome and not trying to mess this up and go backwards, I'm going to be limited to placing the power ball here. And I'm opting to go with the power ball because I feel like it's safer on the rear ends than the Heim joint. The Heim joints are cool for the beds and stuff like that. I just don't like that much downward pressure on it. So that's why I'm going with the power ball. Plus it gives it a lot more movement. To me, it's just a cleaner look too. So we're gonna do that. Right now, Vic's loading up the plasma for me for some 3/16. We're gonna get some plates cut up on here. Gonna try to come out with a big plate, something that kind of goes this whole length here of what's somewhat grinded. And then once we get this here, I'll probably tack in the power balls and then possibly start getting measurements on height here. I already dropped the bed to make sure this was gonna clear, because before you can see here his mount was hitting here and his cylinder was hitting up here. So we're trying to eliminate this and we're trying to eliminate this and still get him more coil than that and get him a safer ride. So we're trying to do a lot of things in a really tight space here, so we're gonna see if we can accomplish this. Luckily this rack doesn't travel too far, so we should be good. Did a test cut real quick. It's gonna be the first little prototype test piece on this truck. We're gonna see how it works, see how it functions. We're gonna tack it all together, make sure it clears, we have clearance on everything. Then if it's good, I'm gonna double it up, I'll make another one. Here is the first prototype piece. Everything looked good, everything fit good. I have it just roughly tacked together for right now. You can see it reinforced the top side, reinforced the sides. All this is gonna get welded up, buzzed up. Same thing with here on the sides. So now it's just a matter of final test fit, then we're gonna weld it again, weld it all up completely. So I'm gonna go take it to the truck right now, see how this thing feels on there, make sure it has clearance all around, and then we're gonna be good to go to weld. Getting everything welded up right now. Got all the reinforcements welded up as well. Obviously we still gotta clean all this up, get all the gas marks off of there. I still gotta flip it over, do the other reinforcement on the bottom down here, and then I gotta weld up the insides as well. For right now, I'm gonna let it cool down though, because right now it's getting to the point where I can't touch it. It's burning through my gloves, even my thick gloves. So we're gonna put it on hold for right now. The first one pretty much all dialed in here. I'm gonna show you guys a side-by-side comparison of what was there before to what's going in now. Obviously, we got a lot wider base. The reason we went with the wider base is so there's more weld, and it's not just penetrated in one concentrated area. When you spread the weld out, it grabs for more. That way it's just a stronger grab. So you guys can kind of see. And we also dropped it down a lot further on the frame as well. It's taking up the full 3 1/4 or 3.5 inches of the frame instead of just this small section. So just kind of, you guys can see it. See what I'm talking about, the difference. Inside, outside's fully welded. So again, just improving what was already there, not reinventing the wheel, just making it stronger. Got the first one tacked on there. You guys can see what it's looking like. It's just pretty much a big oversized coil pocket. So it's looking good. I just gotta get some measurements, make sure it's all squared up and leveled. I got the power ball just tacked in, the corners just tacked in. We're gonna tack in the other side, make sure that we're all squared up and level, and we should be ready to roll. All right, so we got both sides all squared up, leveled, the same degree. We measured off the top, so that way everything is perfectly exactly the same. We also came down and checked clearance against the bed, because as like I said before, it was hitting here, here, and up there. So even though we are pretty much mounting to the same exact position, we got it to where it barely clears here instead of rubbing. It does have clearance, but it's very tight, but it's better than what it was before. So we're trying to knock out all these with the same same design pretty much. So try to knock out more coil, less hitting and rubbing, and also try and get the cylinder stroke to be right about the same, but using a smaller cylinder. And we're doing all that just for clearance, that way there's no issues down the road. So now there's nothing but to do but to weld it. So here we go. It's about to get hot. That last one hurt. The way I was arched over, standing on 1 foot with 1 foot bouncing me. Yeah. Everyone wants to be a welder until they have to be a welder. Stuff like that, they don't teach you in fab school and stuff like that. You know, you don't always sit in a cubicle. That's the one thing we always tell people. Most of the time you're welding on vehicles, you're normally not comfortable. That's one big downfall that I think they don't really teach in the welding schools, is they sit you in a cubicle. Pretty much a little square with the shades around you and ventilation, and it's normally climate controlled and AC'd. Real life is not like that. That's one thing I gotta tell you. Some jobs you might get that, you might get lucky, but you're sitting in a cubicle all day. It's repetitive. It might as well be doing computer work at that point. But the fun part of figuring out how to get a good weld while being uncomfortable, that's where it takes a lot of time and experience. I couldn't do this in the beginning. I could not. I would look at my dad and be like, man, how would you get that clean bead? And you were literally head turned like this, upside down with the gun up here, and you could only see this much of what you're doing. And he would just be like, you gotta find your spot to get comfortable, and you gotta, once you get comfortable, just go at it and just burn it. And that was the hardest thing for me getting used to. I could not do arches because I was getting like claustrophobic when I get in there, especially the smoke. A lot of times when I do arches now, I actually wear a different helmet and I actually wear a respirator because of the smell and the smoke. When it's open like this and ventilated, I don't really worry too much about it. Now I know, yes, you probably should do it, but yeah, that's the one thing. Like I say, we actually just recently talked to one of the teachers that teaches at RCC over here, and we were telling him that real world experience is what's really needed in a lot of these classes. Not just sit at a cubicle or sit at a desk and do paperwork. Not all jobs are like that. So That part right there that I just did, that was real life welding on custom vehicles. You're not comfortable. You need a clean weld, and I'll show you guys the weld right now. You need a clean weld, but you're uncomfortable, you're unbalanced, you don't have good positioning and good posture. Really, it sucks. It really does. But let me show you guys that weld. That one right there, I was running at 180 or 18 and 182 on the wire speed on our Miller 252. And let me get my flashlight real quick. And I did that little corner weld down there. And same thing with this one. Oh, can't really see this one. And then, you know, obviously all these ones over here, these ones just need to be cleaned up. You can see those ones there. Now we gotta drop the rear end. That way we see where the light's at. All those little triangle pieces, I could weld those up. Those are gonna add strength and reinforcing on this frame. Then I gotta hit the bottom section and then this power ball. So for right now, I gotta drop this rear end out. Drop the rear end out, I mean just drop it down, not actually take the whole thing out. So I'm just gonna let it down real quick. Good morning, guys. So we're jumping straight into this. Right now what we're gonna do is we're actually swapping out the 6-inch cylinders and we're gonna go into a 8-inch cylinder skinny for the rear. Because of what we designed, we actually have a lot more space now, so I'm actually gonna give him the same exact cylinder that I took out. Originally I thought I was gonna have to only do a 6 and drop it down 2 inches to gain clearance so he doesn't hit up there anymore. But now with the way everything's designed, it actually sits about the same height, if not lower. So I'm actually able to get an 8-inch cylinder in there. So that actually makes me really happy. So right now, unfortunately, I mean, we're doing stuff multiple times, but I think it's the right thing to do. I could give him 2 more inches of lift. We have the time to do it, so I'm gonna jump into that. I got this side halfway tightened up already. I just gotta put the power ball back on there. And then on this one, I just gotta do the other side real quick. I just pulled it apart, so I gotta take out the power ball. I love and hate Loctite. So, of course, I Loctite everything we do, just for safety, you know, extra measure of safety. So, with that being said, I gotta heat everything up to take it off. So, like, that's the bad part when you're kind of testing and prototyping stuff. Normally I wouldn't have Loctited it, but the bad part is I thought I was done, so I was like, yeah, I just Loctite the crap out of it, a little extra security on there, but now I gotta take it all off. But again, I feel like it's the right thing to do for the customer. Give him 2 more extra inches out of this. So I'm just gonna toss these 6s, use them as, I don't know, as paperweights here, and then we're gonna put an 8-inch skinny in there instead. That way he still gets, you know, the same amount of lift. He gets more coil out of there. Actually, I didn't even show you guys the coil. I'll do that right now. We actually doubled up what he had. So he only had about 2 3/4 inches of coil. So now he actually has 7 inches of coil total from top to bottom. So he should notice a big difference as far as ride quality. Yeah, I'm just on a tight time crunch. Got to get this one done. Got to get it washed. Got to get it rinsed off. Got to still do the rear hoses and one of the cylinders. I'm gonna swap out. It's the only black cylinder going straight down right there. So they have like a 12-inch cylinder on there. But the bad part is with the 12-inch cylinder, I don't know if you see how close that fitting is to the rear diff. Well, at certain points of it, that cylinder in the fitting actually hit the rear diff. So eventually it's gonna damage the diff or break the fitting on the actual cylinder. And right now the bed doesn't even move 12 inches. It's only moving about 4 inches upwards. So I think I'm gonna swap it out for either a 6 or 8. I'm gonna try to find another red one. That way he's all matching, red everywhere. Hopefully I got a single red laying around here. And then we're gonna also, I believe I talked about it before, but inside that rack there's actually this bolt, but the bolt's actually bent. So we're gonna actually try to take that out and put a hand joint in there. That way it has the flex. That way the bed can actually get a full pivot. So even though we're swapping over into a smaller cylinder, the bed should actually travel more, because right now, because of that 12 cylinder, it's actually at the wrong angle, so it's actually binding up. So that's why it's bending the bolt. So we got both coils in, both cylinders in, both fittings in. Now what we're working on is, before, when they did the gas neck, they just put it on here, but they left all the metal around it. So it's actually hitting the bottom of the bed down here. So obviously, and you can kind of see scratching here. You obviously don't want to have that. You don't want to damage the paint or anything like that. So what we're doing is we remove this and we're gonna actually chop it down, cut it up a little bit. So this is the factory gas tank. This is meant to go into the bed, but no longer going in the bed, obviously. So we're gonna come in, see these tack welds right there, cut off that tack weld, cut off that tack weld, and then we're gonna drop a slice in it. We'll rotate that and slide it over this nipple. And then we're also gonna cut these down about an inch, cut this down about an inch right here. That way it all sits back shorter. So this is what we ended up with. So before we had that big old contraption up here, this was about 1.25 inches longer. I chopped this off, 1.25 inches here, 1.25 inches on the back side. And then we also removed the whole collar around it. That way it's a lot smaller, sleeker, and it doesn't hit the bed anymore. This is the same thing I did in my truck, and it cleared every single time. I never had any issues after I did this. So there you guys go. We shrunk it down big time. Right now we're just waiting for paint to dry. I just touched up the outside just because obviously it was raw steel. Don't want it to rust. So we're just gonna let this do its thing, and then we'll slap this on. Well, we have officially made a mess in the shop. It literally got oil puddles everywhere from this truck. I tried to wipe it up, and then we just made another one, and I wiped that one up, and then we ended up making like 5 more. I just said, screw it, I'm gonna leave it till we're done. We got one here, we got like 3 or 4 down there. We removed all the rear hoses. We put brand new rear hoses. We did new clamps on them. That way we don't have to worry about this moving and ripping off or hitting the rack or anything like that. So this is gonna be the first time we're gonna actually test the rear pumps right now, or the rear setup. I know it's gonna work, but it's always fun watching something you created work, right? Let's see how this works here. Yeah, nice. To me, I'd open up to slow down a little bit, but yeah, looks, feels good. Feels good. Actually, to me, it actually seems like it gets a higher lockup now. It's possible. So this is using the mini coils right there. We also replaced out the main cylinder right here for the diamond. That's a new one. This one also has, unfortunately, I wanted to use a Heim joint on here, but the way they have this designed, the Heim joint didn't fit without having to redesign this whole thing. So unfortunately, we had to go back to the old school way, which I'm not really too big of a fan of, but it does work. It really does work. I just, cosmetically, I think the Heim joint looks nicer. But this does work. I mean, it's proven, it's worked over all the years, so that's in there. We just replaced out the bolts on that. And then what else did we do? Oh, we replaced out one of these hoses, one of these 1-footers right here, because it looked like actually that 1-footer had like it's right here actually. It had chewed up off the side a little bit, and it was just peeing oil everywhere. So we got rid of that, replaced out that one. So all the hoses, for the most part, at least the main ones, are all been replaced. If they haven't been replaced, they've been checked. If there's no leaks, they're good. Just test this out here. See, everything clears nice and smooth. So that's a full lockup. That's plenty of height. And his biggest concern was on the full dump, that it wasn't going to touch tire, and well, we accomplished that. So in the end, we got the truck to sit exactly where the customer wanted to, above the tire, so if anything ever happened, he could drive it home and make it off the freeway, or just, you know, cruise off on. Then he also wanted more coil in there, which we actually, since the last time you guys saw it, I actually ended up adding another 1.5 turns. So we end up getting about 8 inches of coil in there, compared to his 2 3/4 that he had. So we accomplished that. Also, the cylinders, we're gonna dump this back. The cylinders are not hitting like they used to up here. Now, don't get me wrong, they do get close, but with this being slightly shorter and the way the hose is routed, this actually clears now. So all in all, we pretty much knocked out everything the customer wanted. Stronger, safer, cleaner, and wants to sit higher. So we knocked all those out. We pretty much dialed it in. The only thing I gotta do now is get it on charge, and then we gotta just wash it up because it has metal shavings throughout this whole bottom. So we're gonna just pressure wash the crap out of it, at least get it to where he could go home and finish it off. I just need to get all the shavings out of here, so that's the next part. Forgot to mention too, that's the finished product of the gas cap. Doesn't have the big old collar on it for the bed anymore, and we also shrunk it back so it doesn't stick out here no more. We shrunk it back, I think like 1.5 inches total, something like that. It was like 1.5 inches or 1.75 inches. I don't remember exactly, but we shrunk it back that way. It's pretty close to the frame rail. Then we also removed the big old collar so it's not this tall, you know. So all that is just a cleaner look there. Also, again, clamped up the hoses here, and we're ready to roll now, guys.